thing to share with you before we get into more of these techniques. One technique, this actually is a technique, is to withdraw yourself from a situation. Let's suppose early on as you're trying to learn these skills, trying to apply them, you catch yourself and you're about to say or do something you know you're going to regret. You can feel it. It's coming. You're about to screw it up. As soon as you realize, I'm not going to be able to pull it together, withdraw yourself from the situation. Now, here's how I don't want you to do it. I don't want you to go, I've had it with you, and just storm off. You ever had anybody just walk off on you? Remember how you felt? Either you got angry and you said, hey, come back here. I'm not finished with you, and chase their heels out the door. You know, or you sit there and wonder, are they going to come back and deal with this? Because sometimes when people throw their hands up, that's it. You know? So I don't want you just to throw your hands up and storm off. Instead, I would like you to say something to this effect. You say something like, I'm really angry right now. I know I'll be able to do this more effectively in about a half hour. So you'd say their name. You know, whatever their name may be. So I'll just say the name Mike. Mike, I'm really angry right now. I know I'll be able to do this more effectively in an hour. Say I need a little bit more time. Maybe I'm angrier than that. You know, Mike, I'm really angry right now. I know I'll be able to do this more effectively this time tomorrow. You could maybe even stretch it to a week. But I don't want to hear you guys going, okay, I'll deal with this in about 10 years. Okay, I don't want you to try to totally avoid the situation. But nobody says you've got to deal with it right then and there. And if you know you're going to do something you're going to regret and you're trying to develop mastery over your emotions, give yourself some space, especially on the front end of this. These are skills that take time. All right? So you want to use a tone of voice that's cool, calm, and collective. You know, like just pulling your stuff together. Be calm how you say it. You know? Don't raise your voice when you say that. Say it in a calm fashion. Take time to breathe. This is one of the simplest, yet one of the most powerful techniques, is learning how to breathe. I don't like techniques where they tell you to count to 10. Y'all remember that? And everybody's in count. Because I always sit there and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I'd just still be mad as all get out. That never worked for me. You know, even if I tried to count to 100, I'd catch myself counting by tens or something. That never really worked, the counting method. But what I want to encourage you to do is to take full, deep breaths. Exaggerated type breathing, where you're breathing in very deeply in through your nose. Hold it for a few seconds, then blow it out through your mouth. Real far ins, real far outs. All right. Now you got to be careful. If you're at work and you start going, you know, people are going to be thinking, you know, you got a problem, and they're going to take you to, you know, see a doctor or something like that. So if you're in public, you may have to modify it a little bit, but take time to breathe. Take time to breathe. Also, I'm going to give you a question further down about what to say to yourself when you're angry. I guess I could go ahead and give it to you now. As you're taking those breaths, you want to be thinking, how can I handle what's going on in a positive fashion? How can I handle this in a positive fashion? So I'm taking deep breaths and thinking, how can I handle this in a positive fashion? You've always handled things in a negative fashion, but this time I'm going to be different. How can I handle it in a positive one? When I think of breathing, I think of the Karate Kid movies. The first Karate Kid movie. You remember when Mr. Miyagi, some of y'all may not remember these movies. They came out during the 1980s. But you had this boy who wanted to learn karate, and he went and saw this Japanese karate master who, on the front end, it looked like the karate master was just having the student named Daniel do all of his chores. He was washing all of his cars and painting the fence and the house and doing all this work. But he was trying to condition his muscles. That's right, wax on, wax off. But one of the things that Mr. Miyagi would tell Daniel is he would say, breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Now, I've always liked that technique. And I like to teach that to people. I remember I taught this to this one mother who had 2 older teenage children and a husband. Husband got home before her, and her children and her husband, when she would get home from a hard day's work, they were sitting in the living room watching television, and they would greet her as she came through the door with the loving question, what's for supper? Now, I'm not going to tell y'all what that woman would think about this question. Y'all already know. She didn't like this. And so what would happen is she would be in the kitchen making that supper, slinging pots and pans, and making all kind of noise. And by the time it finally came, this is their only time to be together as a family, she would be so mad with them that they couldn't even enjoy their time together. And so I told her this thing about breathe in, breathe out. And so what she would do, she would come home after, if it was a tough day, and she would still be greeted with the same question, what's for supper? Guys don't ever seem to get that, you know, but they would still do that. And she would be making the supper. But as she was making it, she would be telling herself over the stove, breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, and then her children and her husband would hear this in the next room, and that was kind of their signal, okay, Mom's had a tough day. And they would actually get up and they would start helping her set the table. They would be nicer, being more considerate, and they learned how to start enjoying family dinner time together. So when I think about this breathe in, breathe out, I think of the Karate Kid movies. I also think about, I believe it was in the second Karate Kid movie. At the beginning of the movie, Daniel was very upset about something. He was very anxious. And Mr. Miyagi got into his face and he said, Daniel, son, whenever going through difficult time in life, always return to the basics. Breathe. Breathe. That is very simple but very powerful advice. When you're going through something stressful, remember to breathe. I have had so many clients over the years come back to me and say, you know, Mark, when my husband was dying and it was the hardest time in my life and I was having to bury him and so on, I just remembered what you had taught me. Just breathe. Or, you know, such and such was going on in my life and I remember what you taught me. Just breathe. Simple but very powerful advice. Remember to breathe. Positive self-talk is the next technique. Watch what you say to yourself when you're angry. What do you say to yourself when you're angry? I hate this. This is driving me crazy. I'm not putting up with this. Who do you think you are? You know, we do stuff like that, right? When you say angry, negative things, that's like taking gasoline and throwing it on a fire. You're intensifying the situation. You're making a bad thing even worse. For this reason, how you think, please get this, how you think is going to determine how you feel. Let me say that again. How you think is going to determine how you feel. So if I have angry, negative thoughts going around in my head, my reactions are going to be more intense, more negative. So you want to watch what you say to yourself. You want to use positive self-talk. So it may be something like, I can handle this. I may not like what's going on right now, but I can handle this. Or I'm going to relax. I'm going to stay calm in how I deal with this. Or you may want to say, I have unshakable peace of mind. I like that one. I say that one a lot. I have unshakable peace of mind. Nothing bothers me. And even though that's not technically true, I still say it because it helps me hold my ground better. Because I'm thinking, what would a peaceful person do versus what would an angry person do? You've got to watch the words that you use. Let's suppose I'm running around saying all the time, when I've got a bad